30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee, featuring Tennessee Radio Hall of Famer George Plaster, Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame coach Watson Brown, and young guns Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. A Thursday where it sure looks like it's going to rain, but you know what? So what? We got a great show for you today. In about 15 minutes, Dale Murphy will join us, former Atlanta Braves superstar. Got a lot to talk about. Boy, he thrilled a crowd in Manchester Saturday night. Standing room only crowd. It was really cool to see. Let's say hello to another superstar. That would be Cookeville's own, the Plateau's own, Watson Brown. Watson, how are you?
George, I'm doing really good. Been waiting for it to rain. It just hadn't yet. So
Really?
yeah, I could have got out and done some stuff today, expecting rain. And there you go. You got to have the glass half full. You can't have the glass half empty. It'll get you every time you do that.
Yeah. It's a tough life.
That's real tough.
Somebody's got to do it.
Yeah.
Billy, how are you today?
I'm great, George. It sounded like you said the plateau zone for Watson there. I liked it.
The Plateau's own.
I know. I liked how it sounded with the plateau zone.
Gotcha. Hey, before we get the show started today, want to welcome a brand new sponsor to our family of advertisers, Action 24/7. We'll give you more details later in the show, but we certainly welcome them. Thrilled to have them on board. Billy, we have an update. Where would we be starting?
George, we are going to start with yet another. As I got to get the song pulled up, George, because that's your orders there.
Oh yeah, it's a key.
It is such a key. It's a slow start, but we start with a lot in today's March Madness scoreboard update. And we start in Greenville, South Carolina, second round in the women's tournament in the SEC. Arkansas defeated Missouri earlier today, 85-74. They will move on to face number one South Carolina tomorrow at 11 p.m. on the SEC Network. Texas A&M right now here in our studio, they lead Mississippi State 26-25 in the second quarter. The winner will face Ole Miss tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Georgia plays Auburn tonight at 5, and Alabama faces Kentucky tonight at 7. Let's go to the OVC. Yesterday in Evansville, SIU Edwardsville defeated TCU. Not TCU, TSU. TCU's not in the OVC. 71-64. TSU finishes the season 11-18. Today in the quarterfinals, SEMO leads Morehead State 32-16 at the half, and Tennessee Tech will face SIU Edwardsville at 3:30 today on the ESPN Plus. On the men's side of things, in the quarterfinals, TSU takes on SEMO tonight at 6:30, and UT Martin will face SIU Edwardsville at 9 o'clock. Sunbelt men's tournament down in Pensacola, Florida is underway. Second round, South Alabama defeated App State earlier today, 68-61. Troy takes on Arkansas State at 2 o'clock. They are underway. Old Dominion will face Texas State at 5 o'clock, and then Georgia Southern will face UL Monroe at 7:30.
Isn't Texas State a prison?
It might be. Very well might be.
Thank you.
Missouri Valley Conference and the boys as we close it out. First round, Northern Iowa defeated Illinois State 75-62. Evansville takes on Indiana State at 2:30, and the winner will face Belmont tomorrow at 2:30. Valpo will play Murray State tonight at 6, and Missouri State will play Illinois Chicago tonight at 8:30. So a loaded March Madness scoreboard update, courtesy of David with the research there.
Excellent. Well done.
Now we ready for the update, the other pieces?
Yeah.
What happened last night up in Lexington?
I never saw that coming.
Whew, neither did I. First win for Vandy at Rupp Arena since 2007. They win 68 70-66. Jordan Wright hit the game-winning jumper with 2 seconds left. He finished with 23 points. George, Vandy has only won 3 times in the last 52 tries at Rupp Arena. They did it last night.
Yes, I am well aware.
And all of a sudden, they're thinking bubble.
So, Watson, what do you think they have to do to get in? What is your – because I'm going to ask both Lee Fowler and Ron Bargatze that later when the College Basketball Insiders join us at 3.
They'd be right nip and tuck if they get to the semis, I think. And if they win the semis, I think that then they're probably there. That's still a long ways off, and they lost their center. Robbins got hurt early in that game. They're not the same team without him. When they get hot, they can beat you, but they can't consistently beat you without him, and he went down early. Again, I was an idiot yesterday to say they'd beat the spread, but just to bring that up, I was called an idiot. That
who
mean the 20-point spread or the 10-point spread? Which one are you talking about?
Hold on, did I call you an idiot?
Well, everything but. You did. You might not have said the word idiot, but you told me
never call you an idiot.
I was a bag of nuts.
I would never call you an idiot to your face.
Maybe a bag of nuts, but not an idiot.
You didn't catch the last piece of that, Billy. He said to your face.
You did
not catch the end of that, buddy. You got to listen to him real close.
Yeah, he's such a shifty little dude, isn't he? So, Watson, let me ask you this. I'm going to ask the guys this later. Are the pro scouts writing down by Liam Robbins injury prone?
They got to be. They've got to be. I don't know his history. If when he was at Minnesota, did he get hurt any? But my gracious, he's had all kind of ankle foot injuries this year. And I don't know. I hope not. Because I think if he is healthy, he'll be a good player for somebody, especially a really good backup in the league for a long time and a good player. So that's too bad. I'm watching it last night, and as soon as he went down, I went, not again, man, and carried him off the floor. Coach Stackhouse said after the game, he thinks he's gone for the season. Man. They won the game.
So both Vandy and Tennessee have had absolutely crushing injuries.
Yeah.
In the last 48 hours. Hated on both
honestly
ends.
All year long, George. Both teams have had some big, important player injuries all year long. Tennessee's been able to withstand it better than Vanderbilt. But I think he's Vanderbilt's best player. When he's playing and healthy, he's Vanderbilt's best player. Tennessee loses players, and they got some the same. But I'd say also that Jordan James being gone those games, I think he's their best player as far as leadership and making a shot when you need it, and just a big part of that team. So, and then Ziegler might have been the second most important player on that team. Unbelievable.
Play for Tennessee, Ziegler and Hendon Hooker both go down at probably the worst possible times for those programs.
Good point. Good point, Billy. That Hendon Hooker deal, that was tough too.
Yeah, that's tough. So we'll talk more hoops with the insiders coming up at 3:00. Georgia, in the NFL, Jalen Carter, he headed back to Athens to deal with what he had going on. He's back in Indianapolis. He was booked and released Wednesday night. He's back in Indy at the Combine, so I'm guessing he's going to be working out, getting the medical, talking to the media, so that should be interesting. He was initially scheduled to meet with reporters yesterday, but he was not spotted in his position group early that morning, and then he left, of course, to head back down to Athens. So you got to wonder, he's going to be getting a lot of questions.
Yeah,
if they make him available to the media.
And my guess is, Watson, that he really won't be able to answer any of it and probably have to say, on the advice of my attorney, I can't really talk about it.
Well, I think the simple thing is that I thought I read where he owned up to. They were racing. They were racing a car and against each other, and so he may just be able to say that he didn't cause the wreck, from what I've read. the car just was going fast, lost control, but they're going in and out of traffic and racing down the road. This wasn't a drag race or something. They're out on the freeway. And just, man, young people do we all do. I do things that fixing to be 73 years old still to this day that I'll wake up the next morning and say, "You idiot, did you do that?" I'll call myself an idiot, George. You never do to my face, but I'll call myself.
Not to your face, never.
But so, I mean, I do it at 73. We're human beings. Man, do you feel bad when there's loss of life over a choice like that, man.
Oh, gosh.
Loss of 2 lives.
Yeah.
That just makes you sick at your stomach. Just really does.
You are right, Watson. He put out a really good statement and just sort of owned up to it on Twitter. And so hopefully
that's what I think he'll say.
Yeah.
And really, I don't think there's much more to this one. You know, he did leave the scene of the crime. I don't know how that plays out. He did come back, though, from what I read. He came back 2 hours later, but there wasn't any scratch on his car. There wasn't a bang of cars or anything like that. So hopefully that you can't get the 2 lives back. I hope he's learned a lesson and he can get past this, and everybody can get past this and go on. George, Billy, that's hard to I mean, you think about that. That's on you the rest of your life.
Sure it is.
That's probably 2 good friends that he lost over a crazy decision that both cars made. That don't go away, man. That's tough.
No.
You got a couple other NFL notes here. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, in an interesting move, who this franchise, they're $55 million above the cap threshold right now, so they need to make a few moves. They're expected to release tight end Cameron Brate, who obviously has done a lot there. He carries a $5 million cap hit, and apparently his release will be one of several roster moves that the team is going to make before March 13th, the deadline. So sort of an interesting move. One of their better weapons offensively, but I guess they felt like they had to do it.
Yeah, this is the tough part of pro football, Watson. I remember when Floyd Reese had to release people like Derek Mason, the wide receiver Derek Mason. And this is the part of pro football that's hard.
It's real hard because it's really not always a physical decision. Matter of fact, most of the time it's not. It's not that he can't play for us anymore. It's that we can't afford to keep him anymore. And that one even hurts worse. That's why I think, George, it is just never a good thing that the GM and football coach is the same person. When the football coach has got to be the one to tell the guy you're gone, to tell Taylor Lewan you're gone, I just don't think that's good. Or we gotta restructure you to keep you or whatever. I just think that ought to stay out of the locker room. And the GM has to do that. But when the football coach is the GM and you got to do that, I think that's hurt Jackson's deal because it got personal. There wasn't an agent. It was in the locker room. Lamar was his agent. And that gets personal. And so that's why if I had it to do over in my 32 years as a head coach with contracts, I would have an agent because I don't want it to get personal. Sometimes it did in contracts when you're having to talk serious stuff. And I wouldn't do it again just to keep that out of it alone. Just keep the personalness out of the deal.
Another move in the NFL, another interesting one, Evan Ingram. Jacksonville's going to franchise tag Evan Ingram. The tight end franchise tag is $11.3 million right now. He had a really good year. He set career highs in catches and receiving yards, and those are the most catches, 73 catches and receiving yards at 766 by a tight end in a single season in Jags franchise history. So
let me ask this, guys. Yeah, those are good numbers, but are those worth a franchise tag?
I tell you, the way they use him, I'm not sure he's not worth a franchise tag because he is as much a wide receiver as he is a tight end, George. And that's the going thing. They're hard to find. The Travis Kelce's of the world are hard to find. And when you get a hold of one and this kid is that way, I'm not sure our Titans guy, I can't pronounce his name sometimes, but I'm not sure he can't grow into that because he is very athletic in space. And it is a really hard guy to find. So it doesn't surprise me that they do that. I think that guy's becoming as important as A.J. Brown on the outside is.
Man, how the tight end position has changed over the years.
It's not really a tight end now, Billy. It's really a hybrid receiver. That's what it is. It's a big receiver that can go out and make a mismatch with corners because you're so much bigger than him, and then a mismatch on linebackers because you're more athletic than they are. And safeties, you're more athletic. So I think it's a really hard guy to find. We can't name but a couple in the league right now that are bona fide. I mean, there's some trying to become that. But just bona fide guys, I think this guy's one of them.
You think about the elite offenses, they've got one. They've got a guy like that.
Some of them do, and of course we know the Chiefs do. And wouldn't you all say everybody talked about Tyreek Hill and losing him, but I think it would have hit them a lot harder if it had been Travis Kelce they lost.
Oh gosh, yeah.
That's what I think.
So a couple of basketball games that I want to bring up before we end the update. Middle is on the road tonight at North Texas. North Texas expected to be one of the better teams in Conference USA. And Lipscomb in round 2 of the A-Sun is on the road at Kennesaw State.
Big one.
11 miles from Truist Park in Atlanta, GA. How do I know that? I know it.
You've been there a few times.
Well, I have. Okay, after the break, looking forward to having 2-time National League Most Valuable Player Dale Murphy join us. Man, was he a hit Saturday night in Manchester. I got to MC it. It was a blast. Dale will join us after the break, so stay tuned. We got plenty more coming.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Skylar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
I know it's getting colder. You're not thinking about golf. However, if you're planning an event for next year, let me suggest golf through Riverside Golf Links. The course has improved dramatically. It's perfect for hosting a corporate or a charitable outing. They've got everything in place to make your event a rousing success. To get more info, call 615-847-5074 or go online to riversidegolflinks.com. Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from, and for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
We're back. The truth is, Dale Murphy was never part of the Tomahawk Chop Atlanta Braves, but he certainly knows a lot about it. And suffice it to say, I had a blast with this guy Saturday night. Standing room only crowd in Manchester. And yet when I ask him, all he says is, I'm an old grandfather. Dale, how are you?
Doing great, George. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, that was fun. That was fun in Manchester. Great crowd and Braves country for sure.
So I've told the story about the little kid that didn't want to give his last name. That was hilarious.
Yeah, that reminded me of that old. This is how old I am. You'll remember Art Linkletter's show with
sure
with the kids. Kids say the strangest things or something like that.
Yeah. So first of all, tell people what you're doing now.
Well, I got a lot of things going on actually. Of course, I got the restaurant down at the by the ballpark in Atlanta. Over in the Galleria, those who are familiar with the area, just over 285 from the Battery. I'm going to the Dominican Republic in a couple of weeks with a humanitarian group, a baseball / humanitarian trip. I do some speaking. I love to speak. I spoke in Manchester Saturday, spoke to Chick-fil-A Monday morning at their headquarters and got a plane to Hilton Head, spoke to Insight Partners in Hilton Head, and I'm home now in Utah shoveling snow.
Oh, wow.
So I had a busy few days there in Tennessee and Georgia, but really the main thing, I mean, we got a lot of things going on, but Nancy and I started our MVP experiences, which you can go on to dalemurphy.com and find out all about those. But we have some experiences coming up with about 30 to 40 people. We start at Murph's, and I spend the day with them and spend the night at the game. So we got the MVP experiences coming up in April, May, and June.
Love it. Hey, Billy, if you will, roll up the stats that I gave you earlier on Dale Murphy and look at those, because there are some numbers in there that you got to pay some attention to. In particular, 5 gold gloves after he became an absolutely phenomenal center fielder. Dale, I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm a Scott Rowland fan. I'm thrilled for him that he's going in the Hall of Fame. He was a great defensive player. But offensively, when you saw that news, you had to say to yourself, wait a minute, I can stack in here just fine. Has that thought crossed your mind?
Well, yeah, I'll be honest with you. It crossed the mind of my kids really fast. They were texting me and Nancy really quick. So people say, they talk about Harold Baines and Scott Rowland and people say, well, you should be in. I said, well, I think there's some comparables there in some other guys too. But so it's encouraging to me because I think it's a positive for me, really. I think it increases my chances of having more guys in there that are comparable. You know what I mean? There's a lot of guys that I don't compare to in the Hall of Fame, but there are some guys that I do compare to. So, they've changed the voting as we talked about Saturday night. I'll have another shot, I think, in 3 years. And so I'm encouraged. I think the main thing take away from this year's vote is Don Mattingly and I are getting kind of linked together, and I think that's a positive for me. I love Don and what he did, but also Don Mattingly and I made some progress, which is hard to do. It's hard to go in the right direction. So, I'm optimistic.
I asked you this question Saturday night. I want you to talk about it again. Bobby Cox, Hall of Fame manager, never heard a player ever say a bad thing about him. Talk to me about what made him so special.
Well, I think the thing to remember is there were probably decisions that guys disagreed with. You know what I mean? When people say, they didn't have a bad thing to say about him, that doesn't mean they always agreed. But the point of that is no manager is always going to make decisions that you agree with. But when they're made in the way Bobby made them, you respect him because he respected you. He would talk to you. He'd communicate to you. And he wasn't the guy that wouldn't give you a chance. I think that's what we talked about mostly on Saturday night is, there was no looking back and say, well, Bobby didn't really give me a chance. You know what I mean? He believed in his guys. He believed in the scouting system of the Braves and the managers. The reports he was getting would be, this guy's ready for the big leagues. Does that mean he's going to step right in and do great? No. So Bobby would, give you a chance. He was patient, believed in you. And that's why when, you make a decision that you may not agree with, you go, yeah, I respect Bobby for that. And what also happened to me and others is it changed our career. He gave us a shot. And I changed positions twice because, he believed in me. I was starting to hit the ball a little bit. And so that's the main thing is he wants you to succeed. And he likes his players. He loves his players. That's why he argued with the umpires so much. It was for his players. And so, that's why he was great to play for.
Dale, back around 2019, I started saying on the air, I don't know when it's going to happen, but this nucleus of young Braves is going to knock it down and win a world title in the next 5 years. And lo and behold, they did. I believe there's still another one coming in the next 5 years with this good young nucleus. Are you as optimistic as I am?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We've all been around baseball long enough to know that it is pitching, but you do need to mix some defense and offense in there. And the core young group is very good, both offensively and defensively, everyday players. So if they can keep supplying them with pitchers, which I really like our staff. Big Mike Soroka fan, pulling for him to come back.
Yes.
And I haven't seen, maybe you've seen what's happened this spring. I think he had a little leg problem, but it'll always be about pitching, as you know, George. And I think the team is in a good position to compete, certainly. And, and that's what you want. You want to be there at the end, get on a hot streak, and give yourself another chance. It's not going to be easy, but I am very optimistic because they're going to be in the thick of things. The other thing we got to remember is expanded playoffs. They're going to be there one way or another. They're going to be in the playoffs and have a shot.
How big do you think Ronald Acuna's upside is?
Well, it's, wherever he wants to take it. He's been dinged up a little bit, and I'm really excited to see Ozzie Albies healthy the whole year. But that's the nature of the game. You're going to have some injuries. I think he's, it's different. To me, he's not a leadoff hitter. I know that goes completely against what Brian Snitker does, but to me, he's a 3 hitter. But he's flourished in the leadoff hitter. You can't argue with success leadoff spot. But I think he's got that 40-40 capability every year, and that's pretty dangerous as a leadoff hitter. It'll be interesting to see with the new pickoff rules and the bases being a little bit larger, if that adds up to about between 5 and 10 more stolen bases for him. I really think he can go to 40-40. The challenge is it's kind of nitpicking, but these guys slide head first so much. It's hard not to get hurt if you're stealing 40 or 50 times. And hitting doubles and triples and sliding head first every time. It's not necessarily a safe slide. It's not a conservative slide. Feet first on your rear end is conservative. You don't get hurt as often. And I mean, that's kind of maybe getting into the weeds a little bit, George, but that really concerns me because,
Yeah.
you just jam your wrist and you're out for a week. A lot of guys do it. I did it very seldom, and this generation does everything at first. So I'm a little concerned about that.
Dale, the guy that's going to ask you the questions here in the middle is Watson Brown, former football coach at Vanderbilt and later at UAB. Watson, I got one for you I bet you don't know. Dale had a son who played pro football with the Miami Dolphins.
I did not know that.
How
Yeah.
about that?
I did not know that. When did he play, Dale? What was his year?
Well, Watson, he got drafted in. So I had 3 kids played D1 football. Sean got drafted by the Marlins in 2008. Marlins. Yeah, Nancy just correct. Nancy just said, "Oh, wait a minute." Dolphins. And you remember that class in 2008, they drafted the big offensive tackle. He was 1-1 overall from Michigan. Can't remember his name. Long, might have been Long. They also had Chad Henne.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, Jake Long. Jake Long was.
Jake Long, yes.
I think he was 1-1 overall. And Sean went to the team as a guard, offensive guard, and 4th round. It was really exciting. Football. A coach blew up his ankle and battled for about the next 3 years. But Bill Parcells was helping Tony Sperano there at the time. He was kind of an assistant. And I said, Sean, I was really interested to see how Bill Parcells. He'd be out there, and I saw him talking to Sean. I go, Sean, what about Bill Parcells? He goes, Dad, I think he really likes me. And I said, that's good. That's good. You want Parcells to like you. Then I had Jake, tight end at University of Utah, and McKay, a D tackle at Weber State. And Jake went to camp with, I get a little mixed up here, with the Raiders and was with the Cincinnati Bengals, the Dolphins for a little bit, and so he's not playing now. And then McKay went to camp with the Rams the year they went to the year they won the Super Bowl. And but he goes, Dad, this is going to be pretty tough. He made it to the last cut, but he was going against Ndamukong Suh and Arnold. No, I can't remember the big D tackle. So it was a great experience for all
Aaron
of them.
Donald.
Aaron Donald, yeah.
You're not going to win that battle.
Yeah, he was going against Ndamukong Suh and Aaron Donald. But he had a great experience. So I ended up with some big boys. And, everybody played baseball for a while. Taylor played in college. But, yeah, I ended up with some big boys and ended up with that football experience. It's a tough way to make a living, Coach.
Dale, my
first story.
My first question to you is because I got caught in high school and was to be drafted, but I couldn't sign football. In those days, now I'm older than you, in those days, if you went in a sport, you were a professional in every sport.
Oh, really?
And so that made it really tough. And so I went on to play football and played baseball, both football and baseball in college. Did you have those opportunities coming up? What were your sports? Were you baseball 100%? Did you have any decisions to make? Because that's probably the decision I've regretted my whole life, that I didn't give that a shot. Did you go through any of that?
Well, I didn't actually. I played football into my freshman year in high school. Then I stopped, and then I played basketball. So I played basketball at baseball, and I just, I was getting interest in basketball, but very little. I was okay. I might have made all city, or I did okay, but I wasn't an all state player, or I might have got a couple letters, I think, from maybe Idaho State and maybe somewhere else. But I knew I had a lot of scouts, watching me play baseball, and also and I got an offer from I signed a letter of intent to Arizona State to play baseball. So I didn't really have that challenge of making a decision. The unfortunate thing nowadays is kids don't really have a chance, to play other sports. It's really difficult for them. And I think that's really valuable if you can.
Yeah, I agree. I've always said that. And as a coach, I always didn't like coaches recruiting and telling them don't play nothing but baseball or don't.
Right.
You've got that's your only chance to make it. I just hate hearing that from coaches, Dale. It's
absolutely.
always bothered me.
We don't really know in high school, even by high school, sometimes you don't know really, how good you are at what, and especially you don't know before high school. The other value is cross training. I mean, I know baseball coaches aren't going to want to hear this, but one of the best things you can do is probably let your kids play soccer for 2 months out of the year, because I remember Andrelton Simmons from Curacao. I think that's where Andrelton's from. He had some of the best footwork of any shortstop I've ever seen, and he credited that to growing up playing soccer.
Wow.
I mean, there's cross training that I think is invaluable. It's okay, as long as the kid wants to make that decision. I'm not, but there is some value in cross training and really figuring out what you like and what you're going to be good at, and sometimes it just happens way too early. You're right, Coach.
Yeah. Dale, you played so many different places. What do you feel like, and I know they moved you for certain reasons, what did you feel like your best position was? What position did you enjoy playing the most because you jumped around a bunch?
Yeah. Well, I went from catcher to first to left to right to center, back to right, I think.
Yeah.
My favorite position, unfortunately, catching is a lot of fun. It's like being a quarterback. And you get to be in on so much, and it's so satisfying working with a pitcher. It's one of those accomplishment things that if you go for 4 but call a shutout, you're on cloud 9. As far as the outfield is concerned, my favorite position is center field. It's actually, people think it's harder, but there's more ground to cover. But the hardest positions are the corner outfield positions, as well as first and third base. The corner positions are hard because you don't see where the pitch is being made. You have a good view up the middle of the field, and then you have to, on the corner position, you have to react really quickly to in center field and shortstop and second base. You see the ball is going to be on the outside part of the plate. As it's going to the plate, you can tend to get a little jump, to your left, depending on where the hitter is, left or right-handed. You can just see, you can get a sense. Whereas if you're playing third base, you don't know if that pitch is coming inside, exactly where it's going to end up, and then all of a sudden the guy hits a rocket to you. So I really enjoyed center field.
Dale, as a hitter, how has the game changed? One thing to me that I see is it's got to be tougher because of the fresh pitching all through the game. In the days when I was playing or coming up, a guy would go forever, and he couldn't have been the same in the 8th inning he was in the 2nd. But now you go 5, there's another one in the 6th, 7th, there's another one in the 8th, and there's another one in the 9th. It seems to me you're catching fresher arms in today's world, and it might be tougher.
It is. I think any player that played when I played or before that doesn't say it's harder now, I would really disagree with them. The philosophy, as what the analytics say, your third time through the lineup, which tends to come, about the sixth inning or so, if you're pitching really well. The odds increase that guys are going to, they've seen more pitchers from you. The odds increase slightly that you're going to, give up some hits. So that's resulted in this theory that the problem is, and I have this problem with all of the analytics, it isolates an example into, a single moment, which you can't I know I'm not saying that right, but you take all these numbers and then you try to plug it into this certain moment,
Right.
It probably will happen again. And the problem with that is, and I think George, you're going to have to help me, or the left-handed pitcher for the Tampa Bay Rays a few years ago was pitched. I think it was the World Series.
David Price.
No, he's now with San Diego, left-handed starter.
Oh yeah. Keep going. I'll get it in a second.
Yeah. So he's pitching 6 innings. He's got 10 or 11 strikeouts, and he's pitching a shutout. And he walks guy in the 7th, and they take him out because the statistics show that he's going to give it up. Well, it was the relief pitchers came in and they lost the game, and that's a situation. Man, I can see his face, George. I can't remember.
Hold on, I'm looking it up because I can too.
Google starting pitchers for San Diego.
Yeah, I'm doing it right now.
It's the nightmare collision of analytics and baseball. You got a guy throwing a shutout, and you're going to bring in Snell. Yeah. Snell. But a lot of managers do that to cover their rear end. It's like, well, that's what they're telling me to do. So that's why I like, Brian Snitker and others, and Bruce Bochy now with Texas, who they brought back, because they have the respect, the gravitas, I think is the word, they can say, okay, I'll take your analytics, but I'm going to be on the ground and I'm going to be watching what's going on. And so the analytics dictate a lot of this stuff. I'm kind of straying from your question a little bit, but is it harder to hit now? Yes. Guys are throwing harder, and you're facing more pitchers per game than you did when I played. It's harder, no question.
Do they teach hitting, Dale, any different because of that? If you went back to teach hitters in today's world, good players, and you're going to help them, do you basically teach them things you were taught, or has hitting changed a little bit?
Hitting has changed, but again, it gets now that it's the analytics and the radar. You can measure so many things, and some things you measure just are not beneficial. And so what has happened is, the analytics say walks, on base percentage and home runs is really good. Don't worry about strikeouts. So a lot of times what they've done is, since they can read the launch angle, they want guys to hit the ball in the air more often. So that creates a couple problems. When you have guys throwing harder and you have a longer swing trying to elevate the ball, guess what's going to happen? You're going to have more strikeouts. And what have we had the last few years? We've had more strikeouts than hits. I'll be very honest with you. I don't know. I would be teaching what we were taught, is that, it's okay to, you got to have a short, quick swing when guys are throwing hard, and a short, quick swing is not a fly ball swing.
No.
And I think all this stuff we're just talked about the last 5 minutes, I think there's a cycle that we'll go through, that the analytics will prove, yeah, that may be true, but also let's look at the playoffs. What kind of team do we need to compete at the end of the year? Yeah. Well, you don't want a high strikeout team to compete in the playoffs and World Series, because the pitching is better, and you're going to strike out a lot. And the Yankees are the A1 example. They get into the playoffs, they do damage all year, but they get into the playoffs and all they do is strike out. So I think some of this is kind of going to cycle out a little bit. If I was building a team now, I'd say, okay, we're going to strike out more than they did in the 80s. But you've got to have a team that's going to put the ball in play, because as John Smoltz says on when he's doing playoffs, during the playoffs, a walk is a rally. You get guys on second, you want to get him over and get him in. And it's just critical. You got to have more guys that make more contact. You better have a better blended team. So getting back again to your question, yeah, I wouldn't hesitate to teach what my era was taught. It wasn't wrong. And I think you can look at the numbers and say, something's going on right now. We're missing a lot of balls.
Watson, the cool thing, and I said it Saturday night, I've emceed a lot of stuff with a lot of different people. Number one, this guy is very easy to work with. And for all those stats we put up there about him being a future Hall of Famer, and he will be, he's already a Hall of Fame human being. And for that, we all ought to be grateful. Dale, thank you for taking the time.
Oh, it's great to be on. Have me back anytime, guys. I've enjoyed the conversation. Well, maybe we'll pick me up, during the first third of the season. Let's see where the Braves are.
We'll do it. Get the snow out of there, and we'll call you back.
Nothing says baseball like 6 feet of snow, huh?
That's your problem, not ours.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Take care, Dale. He is one of the all-time good human beings and really fun to work with. It was a real thrill last Saturday for me. And by the way, that stadium, as you see me pointing in the background, that's where he played, in old Atlanta Fulton County Stadium.
Not this new one.
He never saw the new one. And for that matter, he never saw Turner Field.
Wow. I didn't think about that.
Yeah. He was traded out of Atlanta in August of 1989. We'll go to the break. We've got more coming, so stick around.
Hockey in Music City just hits different. It's one big honky-tonk party. It's the sea of gold in the crowd. The goals, the saves, the celebrations. It's an experience like no other. Don't miss a minute of the action this season. Visit NashvillePredators.com/tickets to get your seats today. That's NashvillePredators.com/tickets. And we'll see you at Bridgestone Arena.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
Jody Jones has as nice a dental facility as you'll find anywhere. Let's go in and take a look. Are you in the market for a new dentist? Maybe you're new to Nashville? Well, the place to go is Jody Jones Dentistry at 55 Music Square East, and their new facility is absolutely state-of-the-art. Jody mixes quality with comfort for the perfect dental experience. He's trusted for his creative design and committed to both the function and aesthetics of your smile. Jody is simply the total package. Don't wait. Make an appointment now at 615-259-5100. Well, as I mentioned at the start of the show, we welcome a brand new sponsor to our airwaves, and that is Action 24/7 Sports. And thrilled to have them here. Question is, are you betting either NBA or March Madness, which is just around the corner? Well, right now at Action 24/7, you'd use code George. How about that? And get a 300% deposit match up to $20 on your first deposit. Action 24/7 is Tennessee's only locally owned and operated sports book, and that's part of the reason that I wanted to deal with them. If you've got questions, they are good folks who will help you, and their neighbors located right here in Tennessee. So download the app or visit action247.com to start winning. And please bet responsibly. Okay, speaking of March Madness, let's get you the very latest scoreboard update. Here again is Billy Derrick.
Here I am, George. I always got to load up this song, though, because we got to have that.
Right.
That is a must-have. And it's time for another update. Where's the music?
Well, I don't know.
Well, the music's not playing.
Well,
George,
then go.
Unfortunately.
Go without it.
For all the viewers, George,
you want me to whistle in the background?
Maybe not. There it is. Okay. We start in the SEC on the women's side of things. Today's games, Arkansas defeated Missouri earlier today, 85-74. Texas A&M leads Mississippi State 49-45 in the third quarter. Quarterfinals today in the OVC women's tournament up in Evansville. SEMO currently leads Morehead State 77-38 late in the fourth quarter.
Nice game.
Yeah, really good game there. And, George, that's what's going on now. OVC men's side up in Evansville. TSU will take on SEMO tonight at 6:30. And UT Martin faces SIU Edwardsville tonight at 9 o'clock. You've also got the Missouri Valley Conference on the boys' side of things. Northern Iowa defeated Illinois State earlier today. And Indiana State leads Evansville 19-7 in the first half of that one. The winner will face Belmont at 2:30 tomorrow. So Belmont fans keeping an eye on that one. We've got two more games tonight in the Missouri Valley. Valpo and Murray State at 6 in Missouri State. And Illinois Chicago tonight at 8:30.
Watson, back several years ago, Dale Murphy came to a radio station that I worked at, pick one of the several that there may have been, and we got to talking about his son being in the Miami Dolphins camp, and we got into the whole players union in baseball compared to football, and man, he just shook his head and said, I cannot believe the difference. He said, it is night and day.
No, we've said that many times, George. We've talked about this on the air many times. And I don't know. I don't see it changing. I don't understand it, but I just don't see a change coming. I see the same problems and the younger kids, the lower kids are just not taken care of.
Isn't some of it the fact that your life expectancy in pro football is probably about 3 years on the NFL level? And so, in fairness, I can see at least the side where they say, man, I can't afford to miss any paychecks, any games. And that's just not the case in baseball.
No. But it's also easier in baseball because they do get the help in all the directions where NFL does not. And I think that's right. But does that make it fair that they're just because you got 3 years, we don't consider you, we don't take care of you, we don't think about you? It just bothers me. I think baseball is the best one of the bunch, and they do the best job with it. They have for many, many years. I don't know why they started that way, but they've always been the one that I've heard really gets deep into it and tries to take care of their own. And more than any other sport, George. And why in the world these other sports don't copy it is beyond me.
Guess who's waiting in the on-deck circle?
I would say it's either probably both of our guys.
They are on time. I mean,
And
early on
Guess
time.
who was there first?
Coach B.
Yeah, Coach B made it first.
Let's pull him up for just a second. What the heck?
Hey,
Coach
what about
B,
it, guys?
How come you were so early?
Well, I'm not having to work today, and so that has a lot to do with it.
That was a very honest answer.
Yeah.
So you're ready to talk a little Vandy, Kentucky, which shocked us all. The injury to Liam Robbins, the injury that Tennessee has now sustained. Boy, what a crazy week we're headed toward.
Well, when Robbins went out last night, I thought, that's it. Malora Brown gets his fourth foul. So hats off. They did a great job adjusting, did a good job controlling the basketball down the stretch and getting good shots on every possession.
Lee Fowler's sitting there saying,
Lee doesn't get any FaceTime?
Well, he's sitting there saying, how come they didn't bring me up? Lee, my answer, since I know you're listening, is we went alphabetically.
Or in age reverse.
We'll go to the break on that. We'll have stat of the day, and then both insiders will join us with strong opinions. They've been waiting in the on-deck circle. This is the George Plaster Show.
Hey, thank you for meeting with me today. The insurance company has made an offer.
Already? Wow.
They've offered you the entire policy.
Thank you, Blair.
You're so welcome.
When the Nashville Predators return home on Tuesday night, March the 14th, to take on Detroit, it's another of those college nights. And this time, it's the Auburn Tigers. So, Auburn students, alums, and fans are invited to celebrate. College Night Series ticket packages include a Predator game ticket and a limited edition co-branded hat. Tickets can be purchased at NashvillePredators.com/college nights. War Eagle. Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you. Welcome to John English Antique Sports and Cards, located at 204 East Depot Street in beautiful downtown Shelbyville, Tennessee. Their phone number is area code 931-492-4304. John, obviously, I've been blown away by what I've seen at your place. I've now been there 3 times. But for the person who's never been, what should they expect?
Well, we have a 3,000 square foot store, George. Half of it is vintage cards in all sports. And then half of the store is, a lot of people call it the museum, where there's a lot of early equipment and just the history of sports in general, baseball, football, basketball, golf, tennis, and other items.
When somebody comes in there that you know is a big sports fan, what is their normal reaction?
Well, I think that they're pleasantly surprised. And, of course, being in Shelbyville, Tennessee, which is a small town that you would never expect a shop like we have to be in. So they're kind of, I don't want to say blown away, but as I said, pleasantly surprised.
Welcome back in. Final segment of the first hour. We've got college basketball insiders coming up, talking a little hoops. But first, stat of the day, brought to you by John English Antique Sports and Cards in Shelbyville. You can find them at 204 East Depot Street, Tuesday through Friday, noon to 5. and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5. Give them a call at 931-492-4304. All right, let's see what David's got cooked up for us today. I think we're going baseball, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, look at that. Dale Murphy. Murph won back-to-back NL MVP awards with the Braves in 82 and 83. There have been 4 players to win consecutive MVP awards since Murphy. Can you name them?
Watson, I think we got to go Ryan Sandberg.
Yeah, that one I do. That's right.
Okay.
Do you want
great
to
years.
know if you're...
Yeah, is Ryan Sandberg one of them?
No, he's not one of them.
Huh?
Is that a hint, though?
No, I don't like the question. If that answer's wrong, we're going to go 0 for 4.
Ooh, I thought that was a 100%er.
Do I want a hint?
Yes, sir.
Apparently, we're going to need one.
Okay. 2 in the American League, 2 in the National League.
There you go.
Oh, Lord.
I think you're overthinking it.
I think I'm overthinking it.
There are a couple players that dominated in that era of the early 2000s.
Okay, Watson, should we go Albert Pujols?
Yeah, I'm getting gun shy now, but I would.
Yeah. Let's go Albert Pujols.
He is one of them.
He's one of them.
Yeah,
well,
2008 and 2009.
Oh, Lord.
So is either one of them back in the old days where Willie Mays, Mickey Mantle?
Early 90s.
Early 90s.
Would be the latest.
Early 90s is the latest.
Oh, okay.
There's a big hint.
That is a big hint. Let's see if Coach B's got any thoughts. Let's put him back on the spot. Did you hear that question?
Yeah, I mean, anyone from the Brewers a possibility there?
Nobody from the Brewers.
Oh my goodness. Is Joe DiMaggio?
That one early 90s.
Early 90s, George. That's the latest.
Oh, I see. There had been.
That would be his grandson.
Murphy.
Okay. George, learn how to read. Comprehend the information. We questioned my intelligence a week ago. Now I'm questioning it.
So you got one from the National League.
We got
Pujols.
Pujols. Go ahead and give them to us. Watson, unless you've got something, I'm drawing a total blank.
I was going to say Barry Bonds. That was one I was going to say.
And the big hurt, Frank Thomas and Miguel Cabrera.
Yeah.
12 and 13. So all pretty recent.
You know, it's interesting. Barry Bonds' head got bigger as his career went along.
I figured you might not like that one.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
We all know who the true home run king is.
Yes, and it's sure as hell not him.
And look at Frank Thomas. He looked like he might have, but that's he never got caught. But he never.
Oh, I don't think there. I've never heard anything.
But he's that big, and it's ridiculous.
He's a big man. Big man.
Big
okay.
Hurt.
College basketball insiders to start the 3:00 hour. Ron Bargatze, not only on time, early. Shocking development. Coach B, thank you.
Great being here, George. Great being early and before Lee Fowler.
Yes, by a couple of minutes. Let's say hello to the former Memphis State color analyst. How are you, Lee?
I'm doing great, George. Hope everybody else is. A couple of comments. I mean, Ronnie and I got a memo this morning from somebody that said if we weren't on time, our pay would get cut. So that's
really,
both here early.
Man, what do you got to do? Pay him back because you don't get paid anything.
Do
you owe him money if you're late?
Yeah, Billy told me send in $10 check, so I did.
You go. That's what I figured.
There's a song out there. Nothing from nothing leaves nothing.
There's
Okay.
a song.
Coach B, I'm going to start this with you. Both Tennessee and Vandy have had awful injuries that have come up in the last 48 hours. Ziegler for the Vols, Liam Robbins for Vandy. From here on in, how tough is the road for both of those teams without those two?
Well, it certainly is going to. Vandy looks like a top 3 or 4 team in the league with Robbins going full speed. They really have played well down the stretch. Ziegler, to me, is the guy that made them go. But James being back is going to make a huge difference for the Vols. And Phillips, the freshman, those are the two guys that really add a lot to that team. Tennessee had a swoon in the middle there, but if you put those two guys back in the lineup, I think they're plenty good. And they're I think Coach Barnes on his post game last night talked about taking care of the ball and next man up and all that sort of thing, what you would expect. But I think that's true.
Lee, take your past work as a chairman of the NCAA Men's Basketball Selection Committee. Tennessee obviously is in. Vandy is fighting to see if they can make something happen. How does the committee view big injuries late that clearly hurt those teams?
Yeah, I mean, I could expect that Vanderbilt was getting ready to go with Robbins and talk about him being out, and they could have won a few more with Robbins. Now they've got to sell that they can win without Robbins. So I think everything's kind of changed with that. And of course, Ziegler is such an integral part, like Ronnie said, of Tennessee. It'll be interesting to see what they do at Auburn without him, with the quickness of Auburn's guards. So the committee will have that game, and then at least one game or two in the SEC to kind of figure out where their seeding should fall or stay the same or whatever. So it'll be real interesting in both those cases. I just think that it's going to hurt Tennessee because the way they cut the clock and play good defense and cut the possessions. I think the people with really good guards are going to really try to play 90 feet with those guys and make them handle the basketball since he's gone. It's just like Mignon with Vanderbilt. Since he's been playing and starting and playing, you really took pressure away from Vanderbilt. And Vanderbilt, you couldn't really go out and get after him because he could just go right by you and create situations. So I think that both teams are going to be, a quick work, because you got to figure out what you're going to do, because you're going to play games Saturday and then you're going to turn around and play the next Thursday or Friday again. So they'll have a little time, but, I hate it for the kids worse than anything. I think Robbins and Ronnie, and we all know, the light came on his head after he came back for the injury in the middle of the season. I mean, he was a different player. And you don't usually see that after an injury, but he came back, and I mean, I could say he was twice as good as he was before. Just the confidence and the ability to rebound and play aggressively on defense and offense. And so I hate it for him, hate it for Ziegler. The teams are going to have to adjust, and you don't have much time with this little time left for the tournament.
Did this injury to Robbins cost him some big money where scouts might write down injury prone?
Well, I think even before this, he's been injury prone, but he definitely got good ability. And yeah, I mean, it's got to hurt him. I don't know exactly what the injury is. I just know that Jerry said it looks like it's over for him. So is it Achilles? Is it a high ankle sprain that's going to take 3 weeks to cure? The less it is, the better it'll be for him if he can get back and, go to some of these camps and that sort of thing. But I think that definitely is something you would ask about him, because, he checks all the other marks with stretching the floor, and I'm not sure he's a great passer, but he's got good hands. He rebounds, he blocks shots. So he does a lot of things that down there, the 10th and 11th guy on the NBA bench is what you're looking for.
Coach B, you want to take that a little farther?
Well, I talked to an agent who was at the Belmont game last week. He mentioned to me, he talked about two guys. Ben Shepard from Belmont has really gone up the ladder in terms of probability of maybe being drafted or certainly becoming a free agent in the NBA. Number two, he said Sheboy does a lot of things, particularly offensive rebounding and rebounding overall. For a guy to get 21 rebounds in a game, it's pretty unthinkable if you across the league. But Sheboy, 15, 16 rebounds is a par for the course for him. So he said the way Robbins is playing, the fact that he can go outside and make a three, the fact that he can rebound, he's in an in-between offensive game. He said, I think he's going to be a better pick, given the health situation, than Sheboy. And I thought Sheboy was going to be pretty highly ranked.
So that's some interesting stuff right there. Boy, Sheboy, God, he got every rebound imaginable last night to try to give his team a chance to win. But let me go back the night before, and I want to get both of y'all to talk about this. When Ziegler went down, from that point on, Tennessee played like a national title contender in a year where who knows what the hell that really means, because the one seeds don't feel all that one seedish. In y'all's mind, has this eliminated Tennessee as a national title contender?
I would say never on that, because they'll play a little different type game. But Ziegler, percentage-wise, had control of the basketball so much. Tennessee, as we know, plays a little slower. They get into some shot clock situations and sometimes some not such high percentage shots late in the shot clock. But they play under control. Their balance is good. Key is coming back now and showing a little bit more spunk. I liked him as a player, and I was surprised that he kind of lulled a little bit there. But their big guys by committee are pretty good. So I wouldn't be surprised if they play very well. And Vescovy may end up getting more shots that way. And if he's shooting well or average, they're pretty good.
I agree with Ronnie. I think that is really just according to how they adapt, and they have a coach that's been very adaptable over the years. You're all that next man up and all that stuff, but they teach that, and you need to be ready. And the same thing happened with Wright last night. I'd kind of given up on Wright, and all of a sudden he comes in and plays like gangbusters last night at Kentucky, and that's what those coaches are coaching now, coaching these guys to. Supposedly he met with coach after the last game and says, we're not getting mental or physical out of you. You need to step up. And I thought it was great last night. I don't know if you saw it, anybody, but in the post game, Jerry got really emotional about Wright and talked about him being the first signee. And you can tell there's a bond there. And that's pretty special with a guy that's not been playing as much as I'm sure he thinks he should or could play. So anyway, I think Tennessee's fine. I think Tennessee will be a 2 or 3 seed and have every opportunity in the world to do well. They'll just change the way they play. They won't. I don't think they'll play any differently as far as managing the clock. It just may be tougher on them to handle the basketball if the other team has good guards, especially in their second and third games in the NCAA.
Last thing I want to talk to you guys about before we go to the break and then turn it to Watson is Alabama. Since the news broke about Brandon Miller, if people are honest, in the 6 halves of basketball that they have played since then, 4 of them have been awful, 2 have been pretty good. They sleptwalked through their overtime win at South Carolina. They were down 9 at halftime last Saturday to Arkansas. They were down as many as 16 last night to Auburn. Coach B, is this controversy causing some stuff internally that is about to bite them in the butt?
Well, possibly, but I'll tell you what, Quinterly came in and played like we know he can play. I thought it'd be really tough to come back, but Auburn plays full blast that you can come back on them, and they did. But Alabama is so powerful. Now, let's go back to Miller a little bit. It's pretty easy to jump on a guy about bringing a gun, but if you know college kids and on hindsight is 2020, but if you go back and try to look at the situation he may have been in, it's very possible that he was. I'm going to give him a pass on what he did, because I don't think there's any indication there was any kind of conspiracy to bring a weapon, that sort of thing. I think it was just an impromptu sort of thing, and he got caught in the middle, and he's got a great history, a great background. Marlon Sims, his coach at Cane Ridge, says, he is such a special guy, and not just as a player, but among his peers, and never has had any trouble at all. So I'm going to be shocked if he's not exonerated in that thing.
Coach B, I want to believe that, but I also have to be honest and say, if you get a phone call at 1:30 in the morning asking you to take a gun somewhere, you tell me, anything good happening?
Well, do we know it happened exactly that way? I don't know.
Well, that's what we're being told. That's for now.
Yeah.
That's all we can go with.
Well, Miller to me has been a real upstanding citizen in a really nice family, and has shown no weakness or propensity to get in trouble. And so he's definitely a first-time offender and probably had no idea of what he was doing. He's still a freshman, and it's going to just a very, very sad state of affairs the way it turned out.
So, Lee, what is going on internally at Alabama? Because they're not playing as good a basketball, half to half as they were before this news came out.
Yeah, I mean, George, I think anytime I was fortunate enough to coach on a Final Four team, and I mean, you got to have a single purpose in mind, and I think that's gone away a little bit right now. Hopefully each game they play will get better, but I can imagine all the things going on around it, the media, everything around the campus, and when they go on the road to other places. I just think that it's tough to overcome that and still be special. And so the sooner they can get back to that, they're definitely talented enough to be that. But I'm sure it's just given 2 roads instead of 1. And so I think that that's what they're struggling with, but they're so good, they're going to be fine until they get to the top 7 or 8 teams in the country that play them. And they need to step up and try to move past all that. And I'm sure that's what they're trying to do.
So let me ask both of you this, and then we'll go to the break. So Oates gets in his car last night, the coach at Alabama, and as he's driving home, he's relieved to win over Auburn, but he knows exactly what I'm saying, which is, wow, the last 3 games, it's gotten to be a real challenge. Coach B, I'll start with you. What buttons can he push to help this?
Well, there are lots of ins and outs and changes down the stretch. I think every coach wants to figure out how to be at your best this time of year, and Alabama's depth has gotten better as the year has gone on. I think they're going to be a hard out, but they've shown that they can have those lapses that makes them vulnerable, and maybe some of the other teams haven't had that kind of a period of time where they just weren't very good. But if you look at Alabama and when Alabama has been good, they've been unstoppable. When Tennessee's been really good, you hardly can see how they've lost the games they have. But I think their personnel interruption in the middle of the season really hurt them. And I think both those teams are potentially Final Four teams, but also teams that could be upset by a double-digit seed team.
So, Lee, what button can he push?
Well, I think you've got to keep them away from the controversy as much as you can. Is that staying in hotels the night before home games, changing up where you're staying? I mean, I can remember you want as little distraction as you possibly can as you're moving through, especially the NCAA tournament. You don't want your fans staying in a hotel with you. You don't want any of that sort of noise going on around your team. And so I think that's what he's thinking about. He's trying to get them in practice. And then when they're not in practice, he'll try to isolate them as a group as much as he can.
Okay, good stuff. After the break, Coach Watson Brown will come front and center stage with the insiders, Ron Bargatze and Lee Fowler. So stick around. We got plenty more coming. I know it's getting colder. You're not thinking about golf. However, if you're planning an event for next year, let me suggest golf through Riverside Golf Links. The course has improved dramatically. It's perfect for hosting a corporate or a charitable outing. They've got everything in place to make your event a rousing success. To get more info, call 615-847-5074 or go online to riversidegolflinks.com.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Skylar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from. And for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
Great music. Absolutely the best. We now bring you March Madness with Coach Watson Brown, Ron Bargatze, and Lee Fowler. Watson, take it away.
Hey, guys, either one of you on the golf course today? Anybody on the golf course this morning?
Nope.
Nope.
What's wrong? I mean, geez.
Well, I had a little
It's your
golf
day
course.
off, Ronnie. You didn't have to work today. Why are you not on the golf course?
Golf has kicked me out. I'm in on the reserve list now.
Are you still hurt?
No, not just mentally. Just not as just not as tough mentally as I used to be.
What are you saying exactly?
Well, if I can't beat Watson Brown, then I'm quitting the game.
When has Watson Brown ever beat you? So let's discuss that here.
Wow.
That's the reason I've avoided you lately.
Guys, I always love to start with a philosophical question with you guys. The game has changed so much in the way you put a team together. There's so many in this transfer portal. It's a brand new team every year. You got guys that leave early. You got guys that transfer out. And then all of a sudden you got a brand new team. And Lee, I'll start with you because you've been there. Should the committee look at that? Should we not be judging the first 6, 7, 10 games, not put near as much in those, and let these teams get better? Because it takes longer when you got a brand new team. In the old days when you played and Ronnie was coaching, I mean, the kids are back. You got a lot of carryover, and I don't see carryover in anybody's team hardly anymore. Tennessee had some this year, but most of these teams got new players everywhere. Should that be looked at? Because I think if Liam Robbins wasn't hurt, Vanderbilt would be a great example of what I'm talking about. They were not very good early, but I agree with Ronnie. I'm not sure they weren't top, or Lee, one of y'all said top 3 to 5 in the league when he was healthy and they got going. And I agree with that. And yet I don't think they're going to get in. Well, I think it'll be really hard now. But is there anything to that, Lee, that I'm saying? Should they back off of that a little bit in December?
Well, I think that when I was on the committee, we looked at the last 10 games, and I think that probably will be an emphasis this year because of what you're talking about, Watson. It's a different ball game. You're trying to get your team going in the same direction. So I would think in that room, the last 10 games will make a difference. You're playing like opponents, like budgets, and how you finish in the season will make a difference. And of course, you can't lose really bad games at home. And I was looking today at the net for Vanderbilt. They're like 85 after beating Kentucky. And they've beaten Florida twice, who's 46. They've beaten Kentucky. They beat Tennessee. And so it's not really moved their net much. And I assume it's because of some of the teams they lost to at home. But and that was all that, as you said, was early. So I think that it's definitely they'll be struggling because you're seeing teams now that are losing games that don't usually lose games this time of year. So it's going to be a full-fledged discussion in the committee room about what is important and who are the best teams. Because the one thing I know is the same is they want to get the best 64 teams, of course, minus the 31 that get in because they win their conference. So they want to get the best 37 teams in the tournament that they possibly can. And so whatever that means to them will be who gets in. And I think late finishes should make a difference, maybe more now than ever did.
Anything to that, Ron?
Well, I'm pretty fed up with the impact of NIL and the transfer portal.
Yep.
Because it really goes against everything that building a team and a program is all about. And it flies right in the face of that. So that's my biggest disappointment in the state of college basketball now.
Ronnie, how do you adjust it? I don't want to get off completely on this because I want to get into the tournament, but how do you adjust it? What can they possibly do? Because I'm 100% with you. We're teaching kids the wrong thing. You kind of get beat out, just go somewhere else. Or whatever. And how can we adjust this since you opened the door that far? And I see it in both basketball and football. It's big in football too. You'd think it wouldn't be because of the numbers that you play in football, but it is. A guy I'm real close to, I don't want to give names, but he told me he was going to have probably 54 new faces in his program in football in June when they come in to put their summer group together. 54 new faces. My gracious, that's building a team every year, Ronnie. We got to do something about this.
Yeah, and part of that whole equation is that probably the most effective hunting grounds for prospects now for the big schools is the mid-majors, where you pick up guys who slip through the cracks, who have proven themselves on the Division I level, and so I'm thinking about a lot of the schools in our area here, Lipscomb, Belmont, OVC schools, UT Chattanooga, MTSU. That's a happy hunting ground for recruiting for those Power 5 schools. And it's just, like you said, watching you try to build your program on a certain amount of character and loyalty and those kind of things, all out the window now.
Yeah, I agree. And we could live on forever. Lee, anything else with that before I head somewhere else?
No, but I know George is not in this segment, but I'd like to throw a couple of things out, and it's not basketball related, but it is. And then one about football that maybe I'll talk about another day, but the new rule they're putting into football where the clock runs after first down. And that's the football thing. It looks like it's definitely going to go. And then out of the woodwork, it came out that Clemson and Florida State are looking at things because their income compared to SEC Big Ten is not what they're going to be making with the ACC, and the ACC doesn't have a renewal or a chance to negotiate anytime soon. So they're going to be like $30 million a year short. So that's going to affect basketball. It affects all sports, but it's interesting that came out of a Board of Regents meeting in Florida, at Florida State, or Board of Trustees or whatever, that the AD is already talking about that. So anyway, it's those things are going on in college sports, and they'll have a wide range effect if something happens with especially those two schools.
Well, when we all, Ronnie and I especially, even you, Lee, I would agree, when we were in this, the true philosophy was, and this isn't, I'm not making this up. The true philosophy was, what can we do to help these kids? When they come into our program, how can we make them better as players? How can we make them better as people? What can we teach them? I mean, yeah, winning and losing was very important in those days. It absolutely was. But you can't help kids anymore. Half of them are gone within 9 months to a year. And I just don't know. I just think the whole philosophy has faded, and we've let money now become the big deal. And it's very sad to me. I don't see amateur athletics anymore. I do not see amateur athletics. It's gone. Everything is a pro thought now with the dollar, and it just really disappoints me. Maybe it's sour grapes. I don't know, but I just don't think we're getting the opportunity as coaches, as administrators, to teach these kids the way we really truly felt when they first walked in the door.
Yep, and I think that the money changed everything, because coaches started making $10 million in college, or 12 or whatever. And so the student athletes felt like, where's our part? He's making the same as the NFL guys or the NBA guys. So why aren't we getting the money those guys are getting? And so, there wasn't much ground to stand on as we got into money being the most important thing.
Anything else with that, Ronnie? And I'll leave.
Yeah, I think there's a real healthy fear of litigation. A lot of rules and a lot of things have changed because they're afraid of being sued, of having to defend their position. And we know that that's happened forever and ever, but now more than ever because of paying players. Heck, you can make a lot of money playing big time athletics now. And I don't buy into the fact that you don't that because coaches can leave, that players have to be able to leave also. I think there should be rules, for instance, reasons that they may go to another school and not have to set out. If the coach recruits you and he leaves, that's an opportunity. If there's other outstanding characteristics that are going on, you got to be able to draw the line somewhere. And I just don't think it ought to be wholesale. Go in, play immediately, and leave your past in the dust. And guys at mid-major level, they're going out there because these schools they can't pay them. And if they, there are a lot of guys I know of in the past year who've gone to get a $20,000 to $25,000 NIL deal going on, and you can't blame them for doing that. But so I don't know. I don't know the answers for sure. I'm not smart enough to do that.
Back to basketball, guys. I've listened to, the SEC is down. I don't see it that way. I think the SEC, maybe we don't just have that top dog, but I don't see anybody much that has that top dog. I think the depth of the SEC this year, to me, is pretty good. And I don't know how many are going to get in or whatever, but I could see some of these teams down in the middle of the pack for the first time really making runs. Am I being prejudiced toward the SEC, or is this league a little stronger than it's being given credit for?
Well, I think playing the schedule they play, it does. There's so many places. The SEC crowds, look at the crowds at the SEC games now. For years and years, you go to an Alabama game, an Auburn game, Tennessee, when Thompson Bowling was so big, and they had crowds of 7,000 or 8,000 people in these big arenas. Now you're getting more like ACC atmospheres that they've had for many years, and that is having full houses, having double-digit thousands of people at games, and there's a lot more atmosphere, and the athletes are spread out more, the talent is spread out more, And so, yeah, it's hard to go through unscathed. Alabama's record's unbelievably good considering everybody they've had to play.
I agree.
What you got with that?
Well, I agree with Ronnie. And SEC getting 7 or 8, I can't hardly get there unless Vandy's got to get in if that's the case because of where they stand. They're going to be 6 at worst in the league, going through a full schedule, and if they win Saturday, they could be 5th. So it's a little bit strange. All the noise of Joe Lunardi and all those pickers drive me crazy every day. It changes, but I think it's a good league. I think if you look at the league by the standings and the teams, except for maybe Kermit, the rest of the teams are new coaches, new players. I mean, they had to overcome what you were talking about earlier, even more than a guy that's been at a place for a while because of kids left when their coaches were fired, and then they got a new coach in, and he's bringing in whatever he can to put out the fire. And so there are 5 or 6 of those teams that aren't good on a night-to-night basis, and also have trouble scoring. I think that's the biggest issue about some of the SEC teams. Don't shoot free throws well, don't shoot open jumpers well. And so I think that makes them struggle a little bit. I think the SEC will get 7 in, maybe 8. But if that happens, I think Vandy gets in because I can't imagine some of the teams they're talking about, they beat twice this year, home and away. So it's kind of crazy. But anyway, I think it's a good league. It's just below the 2 better leagues. And it always drives me crazy. The Big Ten's talking about 9, and they're losing by 20 and 25 teams that are in the tournament and that sort of thing.
Yeah, Lee, I don't get that. And I don't know. I just feel like the last few years may be fair, but this year, to me, this league, 7, 8, 9 deep, you go look at these other leagues and they match them pretty good. And who do you guys see, not Alabama, not the top ones, who do you guys see within the SEC that could really be the one to make the run? My pick is Arkansas. Who do you – and I know that's a crazy pick right now because they lost 2 in a row or whatever, but I still think that team, they got Smith back. I love watching them play. They remind me of Alabama. I mean, when those 2 played the other day, you're talking about some great athletes on the floor now. There were great athletes everywhere. I say Arkansas is the one I'd pick to make a run. Which one would you guys pick out of that middle of the pack bunch? Anybody?
No, I can see these every team in the middle of the pack from Kentucky, who has an 11-6 record, down to Mississippi State. I don't see Florida making a move. I see anybody from Arkansas, Mississippi State, Auburn, Vandy, Missouri up being able to win 2 games in the tournament if things go right for them.
Yeah. Lee, anybody you see?
No, I agree with Ronnie. I think that Alabama's head and heels above everybody else. And I think Tennessee can, if they got a couple of guys back, even though they lost one, I think they can be as good as anybody in the league. But in the middle, I think Ronnie said the same people I would, that those teams have a chance to win 2 at least and play in the semis.
We got a question in the chat room from Joe Wall on YouTube. He said, I would love to hear the guys' take on what appears to be Coach Stackhouse's commitment to the long game, building the program the right way, not playing guys who he thinks are slacking in some way or the other. And he references what Coach Stackhouse did with Tyron Lawrence in Tuscaloosa at Alabama. So I guess to kind of rephrase that, what are you guys' take on how Stackhouse is, planning to build this program, even though it may have been taking a little bit longer than some fans would have liked?
I would like to know if there's a better point guard right now in the league than Lawrence. I want to see who it is.
He played really, really well last night.
He's a bundle to handle. I think his ability to take it to the basket, make the threes, take charge, that guy has really, really improved. I love his game.
Yeah, I agree with Ronnie. I think Lawrence, if he or when he gets stronger, if he comes back, I'm sure he will next year. I hope he does. He could really be as good as anybody in the league. But I think Coach is such a player's coach that, he's not going to stand for him to be out on the court and not hustle and not be mentally in the game. And I think Wright's a perfect example. I mean, he had not done much in 2 or 3 games. He got him aside and said, hey, but you got to work in the season. You got to work with what you got. So I don't know this gentleman who asked the question, but, you got to try to motivate him any way you can. And he may have tried 10 other things that didn't work. And it sure seems Lawrence worked not playing at all. I think he's averaged probably 18 points since then, or 20 maybe. And Wright played well last night. I'd look for him to play well the rest of the season because of that. So, you as a coach and a player, I don't know if Ronnie would say this, but I mean, I watch games and you can tell when a kid's trying to do better than stay in the team concept. And I think Wright's done that a couple times this year. He doesn't hustle back sometimes. I mean, I see things because I'm not watching the ball all the time. So I think that's what Jerry sees. Jerry sees stuff that other people doesn't see, and he wants a commitment to be 100% in, not 50% in for the team. So I think that's what he's doing. And, I don't know what kind of commitment I think he's trying to get players. I like the young guys that are playing, Smith and Lewis and the kid that got hurt and the kid from Murfreesboro. I mean, I think they're going to be good players in the SEC. Now, do we need one guy? Everybody could use a Miller in their team would be fixed overnight. But I still think that what he's done has been amazing in the middle of the year to get this team to play. And it's apparent. They believe in themselves. That kid went out last night 4 minutes. They didn't look like it affected them at all. So I think that he's got them believing. He's got them playing together and believing in each other and loving each other. And I think that's important. A coach can get that position.
Okay, let me try this on both of you guys. Coach B, I'm going to run the last 3 SEC teams that look like they have a shot but are really teetering. What do you think Auburn has to do to get in? They closed the regular season Saturday at home against Tennessee.
Auburn's been a funny team. They've been so explosive sometime, and then they laid an egg down the stretch last night because they don't stop playing. They keep going, keep pushing the ball. I think Auburn is going to have a difficult time winning more than one game in the tournament if they get there.
Lee, Mississippi State closes their regular season Saturday at Memorial Gym. How much work is left to be done on their end?
Well, I think that's a must-win for them, really and truly, and then they need to win 2 in the tournament. I think they've got some good wins during the year, but this is when you're being watched more than during the regular season. And if they don't win Saturday, they're below 500 in the league. And in years gone by, that's been a real hurt to get in the tournament to justify a team that's under 500 in the regular season to get in the tournament.
Now, let me ask both of you. Vandy's win over Kentucky last night, to me, neutralizes the LSU loss. You win at Rupp Arena, I don't give a damn if it's the Russians. That's a heck of a win up there. What does Vandy have to do from here on in to be an NCAA tournament team? Coach B.
I think they have to beat Mississippi State at home Saturday, and I think they need to win 2 games in the tournament. I think then they're in the conversation.
Lee?
I agree with Ronnie. I think they're in. If that gives them 20 wins, and they're 5th in the conference, it'd be hard to keep them out. I think that's going to be a big challenge without Robbins, but at least it's in front of you and you've got a chance to do that. So I'm sure that they'll be committed to doing that, and that's what they need to do, I think, also to get them in.
Guys, I appreciate both of you taking the time to come on and be with us. Look forward to tournament play. It's right around the corner. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, when we come back to close the show, a couple of things will happen. Number 1, we'll get you a March Madness scoreboard update, final one of the day if you're watching live. Then we'll have the plaster bet of the day, which has been completely useless this week. A big donut. 0 for 3. That sucks. We'll be back in a moment.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
Hockey in Music City just hits different. It's one big honky-tonk party. It's the sea of gold in the crowd. The goals, the saves, the celebrations. It's an experience like no other. Don't miss a minute of the action this season. Visit NashvillePredators.com/tickets to get your seats today. That's NashvillePredators.com/tickets. And we'll see you at Bridgestone Arena.
Jody Jones has as nice a dental facility as you'll find anywhere. Let's go in and take a look. Are you in the market for a new dentist? Maybe you're new to Nashville? Well, the place to go is Jody Jones Dentistry at 55 Music Square East, and their new facility is absolutely state-of-the-art. Jody mixes quality with comfort for the perfect dental experience. He's trusted for his creative design and committed to both the function and aesthetics of your smile. Jody is simply the total package. Don't wait. Make an appointment now at 615-259-5100. Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you.
Welcome back in. Final segment, and that means it's time for the final scoreboard update, March Madness scoreboard update. And you know what that means. It's time for some sweet Georgia Brown, and that also means we got a lot of scores to get to. We start in the SEC on the women's side of things. Texas A&M just pulled off an upset. The 13 seed, they get their 9th win of the season and knock off Mississippi State 79-72. They will play Ole Miss tomorrow at 1 o'clock. They are the lowest seeded team to advance to the quarterfinals in women's basketball tournament history in the SEC. So big stuff there. Georgia will play Auburn tonight at 5. Alabama will play Kentucky tonight at 7. Meanwhile, in the OVC, SEMO over Morehead State today, 77-38. Tennessee Tech currently leads SIU Edwardsville early in that one. In the OVC men's side, TSU and SEMO tonight at 6:30. UT Martin and SIU Edwardsville at 9 o'clock. In the Sun Belt, second round underway today. South Alabama defeated App State 68-61. Arkansas State leads Troy 55-54 in the second half of that one. Later tonight, Old Dominion and Texas State at 5 o'clock, and Georgia Southern faces UL Monroe at 7:30. Meanwhile, in the Missouri Valley, Northern Iowa defeated Illinois State earlier today, 75-62. Indiana State leads Evansville 56-38 at the half. So it looks like Indiana State, as Taylor Barnett called, will move on to play Belmont tomorrow at 2:30. Valpo and Murray State tonight at 6. And Murray State and Illinois Chicago tonight at 8:30. And that is your March Madness scoreboard update.
Taylor Barnett took a cheap shot at me this morning because I had said Kentucky would win in double digits. And I deserve it because I lowered the boom on him 4 weeks ago when he misjudged Vandy, Kentucky at Memorial Gym.
Well, you're back even.
What are we now ready for?
We are ready for Plaster's bet of the day. Got to get back off the schneid here. Brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. They are lawyers you can trust. Give them a call at 615-242-9000 or log on to bartdurham.com. All right. What in the world happened with TCU last
gagged
night?
Late.
They won the game.
Totally dominated the game.
They won the game, but that's not what mattered. They needed to win by at least 2.5 or cover by 2.5.
Very bitter.
What was did they lose by 2?
They won by 2.
They won by 2.
Yeah, it sucked. Okay.
Close one.
So still a gaudy record. Something to be proud of. You picked 248 games to be over 500. This is my how great thou art moment.
Watson called the game last night. Vandy covering, not even winning, but covering, and they ended up winning. So maybe we need to listen to Watson. Yeah, Watson. That's a good pick.
He doesn't say Watson's bet of the day.
Well, you're in
not going to either.
No, I know it. So I have added one.
Okay. Well,
okay.
Here's the first one.
Yeah. Washington State's just a better team than Washington, even though the game is at Washington. It's late. Watson, I know you'll watch it.
10 o'clock.
Excuse me?
Who, me?
Yes.
No, I will watch the score the next morning. That's
okay. Here's a late edition. Tennessee State. Dead pick'em in the OVC against SEMO. People better watch out for TSU.
Junior Clay is a really good player.
Yeah.
He's liable to drop 40 on any given night.
And I happened to see him do it a couple of weeks ago.
And, George, that'd be really cool. I don't think TSU, have they ever made the tournament?
Yes. When Carlos Rogers was there, Frankie Allen in the early 90s.
Early 90s, okay.
I want to say 91 or 93 that they made it to the NCAA tournament. I think that's the only time. Now, they used to win a lot of championships back before they went NCAA Division I.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go to the Gentry Center, you'll see a bunch of those banners.
A lot more history than people think.
Yes.
I really hope they keep winning here. Maybe win the tournament, get into the tournament. That'd be cool.
That'd be a cool story. It'd be very neat. Watson, I know you're not with us tomorrow. You get a day off. We'll see you on Monday.
See you on Monday, buddy. Hope your record gets better over the weekend.
He's rooting for you.
Don't you worry about my record.
Well, see, Billy, I try to be nice, and he throws it back in my face. What did I say?
Not trying
Hope your record gets better over the weekend.
Yeah, that's meant as a shot. What it means is you haven't done very well this week. You got to do better.
The proof's in the pudding. I don't have to sit there and talk about that.
Right. Listen,
numbers don't lie.
You could be on another show and some guy would be 90 and 156. There's a standard of excellence here that is obvious.
I don't disagree. All I got to do is ask you. I'll absolutely hear it.
Hey, as we leave today, thanks to the folks at Action 24/7 for joining us. There's their logo at the bottom of the screen. Looking forward to having them with us. We're out of here for today. See you Friday.